want a second look.
Yeah, there's something about this one, isn't there? Familiar somehow.
We think we're stuck in a specific fragment in time, and we've been repeating that same fragment over and over again.
But the flirting's over, Sherlock. Daddy's had enough now.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, TV Reviews, Connections in Mind. Andor is the latest live-action Star Wars series to drop on Disney+. It is created by Tony Gilroy and stars Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, a young man who we previously saw as an integral character in the 2016 film Rogue One. And this is a prequel to Rogue One in which we see Cassian Andor's descent into the rebellion, how he got to where he was, what struggles he had to go through, and the formation of the rebellion itself against the Empire. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Andor Season 1. There will be a spoiler-free thoughts up front, however I'll be doing my spoiler thoughts after I give my letter grades. That's just so you know, there will be spoilers later on in this review. But first, let's get into some spoiler thoughts on Andor Season 1. Is it a good Star Wars series? Is it a good series in general? Is it worth that Disney Plus subscription? I would say, as far as aesthetics goes, this is probably some of the best looking Star Wars content that we've had pretty much ever. Even probably since the first two movies, so New Hope and Empire. I mean, my gosh, they went above and beyond in creating the the Empire Rebellion, that aesthetic, and it looks so dang good. I mean, come on. Like, the special effects have been getting better and better for years now, but I especially appreciate when the VFX are able to create the ships in particular in such a way as they look pretty much no different than the handcrafted models that the guys at ILM made for the very first movie. I mean, that was one of my highest praises of Rogue One, is that the X-Wings and all the other ships, they look pretty much exactly like the models that they made. Much better than the X-Wings and all the other ships that they made, that they created for, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. So this is Star Wars that looks fantastic. And I will say there is some great character work going on here. I mean, Cassian Andor as a character, it's interesting to see, him kind of have his own impulses, his own desires, and then get swept into the current of events larger than himself, and then have those events transform him and harden him into the man that we will eventually see him become in Rogue One. So that's all fun, especially. And we also get to see other characters as well. One in particular, we get to see more the backdrop of Mon Mothma, who was first introduced in Return of the Jedi, and we've seen her crop up a couple of other times, one in Rogue One, as well as other places in the more recent Star Wars pantheon. And yeah, she's got an interesting thing as well going on, and her having to lead the double life in a very public image, being a senator in the Imperial Senate, where at any one moment, she can be exposed in a high-profile way and take down not only herself and her family, but large chunks of the rebellion in general. And we also see the rebellion start to coalesce. I mean, we see elements in this series that the rebellion at this stage in time is very fractured, very insular and cellular, and that there are many different figures vying for different agendas, and they're kind of working sort of towards one goal, but also against each other and for their own reasons. There's a lot of complex stuff going on here, and when I think the series works best is when it's focusing on one particular story at a time. And specifically, there's two main action sequences or events that this focuses on that that I feel like is when this series really shines. One is a heist, and one is a prison break, and both of those episodes that mainly focus, they're probably pairs of episodes really that focus on the build-up and then the payoff of both the build and payoff of the heist and build-up and the payoff of the prison break. Those are the best episodes of this series. Hands down, I think. Where I think this series falters, at least for me, this is going to be a very subjective one to me, because this is more of my expectation game more than anything else. And there's so many people out there who just love this series, and I don't blame them at all for this. But for me, when going into this series with the fact that, we're going to look into Cassian Andor's backstory, after watching Rogue One, it's like, I knew everything I needed to know about this character coming into in Rogue One, and I knew all that I need to know about him in that, was that 2 hours-ish that we knew him between, the beginning, when he was first introduced and the very end of the movie. And, yeah, we know when that's going to turn up. Spoiler alert for Rogue One, Cassian Andor dies on a beach by the Death Star. That's how he ends. I don't really need to know where how he got from there to here. He was a rebel. He had the line of, like, I've been in this fight since I was 8. Okay, we get a brief glimpses of that in this series, but I don't really think that's necessary. And we also focus on other characters within this rebellion, and those are fine, but the fact that we have to keep coming back to Andor, I'm like, this would have been such a stronger series, in my opinion, if it had just been The Rebellion. Just call the series The Rebellion and make an anthology series. Focus. Each episode is a different corner of the galaxy, in a different cell of the Rebellion. Maybe there's a little bit of crossover. You hear glimpses, you hear whispers of things going on in other parts of the galaxy. You get one episode focusing entirely on Mon Mothma. One episode focusing entirely on on a prison, on a heist of imperial currency. One episode focusing entirely on stealing the plans from the factory for the X-wing. That would be an interesting endeavor that we've never seen on film. Let's just do that. For me, the fact that we didn't this series was trying to be both a focus on Andor's story and also explore the broader rebellion and how everything fits together instead of this and that and this and how everything's all going to come, which we know what everything's going to come to. I don't necessarily really need to know how every piece got into their starting position for Rogue One. That was some of the weakest elements of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, for me. And that's probably the best of the prequels, and the weakest elements of that is when, the very end, when we have to, all right, let's everyone get into their New Hope starting positions, and go. It's like, no, we already know this. I know it's necessary in the storyline, but it's like, we already know that's going to happen. So, like I said, that's the kind of stuff that kind of drags things down for me. But I'm not going to say this was a mistake to see it, or that this series should not have been made. Far from that. Please give us more into the world of Star Wars, and give us dive into this aesthetic. I love the way that they've recreated this. The fact is that it's supposed to be a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and yet look at A New Hope, and some things are very distinctly late 70s, let me tell you, but they create that aesthetic quite beautifully, and I love that. Let's get more of that. But, like I said, I know there's going to be a season 2, I believe they started filming it already, but I think in the future, they need to narrow in their focus more, get that, reel it back in, focus mainly on 1 or 2, maybe 3 storylines max, and tie everything better. Everything else they need to start pruning for that, or just create, like I said, create just that Rebellion anthology series. Like that would be another acceptable option to me. So, Andor season 1, if I was going to give it a letter grade, I would say this is an A-. I mean, this is, like I said, some of the best live action Star Wars content that we've had in a while. But like I said, some of those things that may just be my subjective expectation game going on there that really dragged it down a little bit. But yeah, I'm certainly glad I saw it. But yeah, that's like I said, some things to work on for season 2. As with every series on TV, season 1, there's always things that you can improve on as we go from there. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Andor season 1. Now let's get into some spoiler talk as certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Now, as I said, the aesthetic of Andor is where I think is a lot of the greatness that comes from this series, and probably some of the best aesthetics in this entire season is the first 3 episodes where, I mean, seriously, the first few shots on, it's not Ferrix, it's the other planet that Andor's on, and he ends up killing the 2 corporate security guards. I mean, that's just straight out of Blade Runner, and that looks so good, and it's got that gritty feel to it that is just, again, I think it's been said that, Star Wars without the fantasy elements is just dystopia, and they nailed that dystopia feel, futuristic sci-fi dystopia in those first few episodes, and that is very much a Blade Runner feel, and it looks so good. That I'll go back to that dystopia thing in a second, but I mean, there's also this sense of with the Rebellion, you've got competing agendas, and Cassian suddenly becomes someone that the Empire wants to both kill as a rebel, but also keep alive as a witness, as someone to give information. Where the Rebellion also wants Andor alive for his skills to contribute, at least as far as the heist goes. But then, after that, the Rebellion wants him dead because they can give him away. So there's that whole. Then you got competing double crosses going on with there, and I just couldn't help but think of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, just to throw a example of criminals, having their own agendas, meet and then diverge, and meet again and diverge again. It's that. I mean, that's kind of. There are other movies that have done that sort of thing, but that's just the example that came into my mind. And then I mean, this shouldn't be a shock to me, but I couldn't help but feel like this was very similar to Rogue One in that there's the spark of hope for the spark of the Rebellion in Andor, and also in other people within the galaxy, specifically the people of Ferrix. There's that spark of rebellion going on there. So that's the theme, the spark of rebellion. However, there's a key difference between Andor and Rogue One, and I think that's also another reason why I didn't get so much into this season, is because while yes, there is that spark of rebellion, there's a distinct lack of hope in this. It's more along the lines of, yes, you go spark the rebellion in order to just, say you don't like that and go down fighting. That's valid, but if you don't have, hope of victory or hope for a brighter future, then what is the point at that point? That was the whole thrust of Rogue One, where, rebellions are built on hope, and the hope of, a brighter future. They got the hope to defeat the ultimate weapon, being the plans to the Death Star. Okay, that was the spark of hope. Here, I got very little hope out of anything. I mean, you got the brief hope of, when the prisoners are breaking out of the big water prison, but after that, then the hope kind of tamps down. Then the spark of rebellion comes in, but it's more along the lines of, you know, spitting in the face of a dictatorial authority, rather than a spark of, all right, we're going to overthrow this authority and reinstill something good. I mean, really, for large chunks of the series, the season in particular, it's just kind of a bummer to me, and that just kind of makes it less enjoyable for me to watch week out after week. So, from that in mind, like I said, this is a gorgeous series. It's got some great Star Wars-ness about it, but because of that, again, I'm not sad I watched it, but I'm not sure if I'm ever going to rewatch it going forward. I'm not going to bake this into a, you know, Star Wars franchise rewatch or something like that. But again, that's just me. What did you think of Andor Season 1? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. And be sure to look for my next TV review, which will be for the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which is out on Disney Plus now. As well as my next movie review, which is for Avatar: The Way of Water, which comes out, I believe, December 16th. So look for those on my channel. And if you liked this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.